For staying with us. Now, TV47 has exclusively obtained chilling CCTV footage that unravels the sinister plot behind the brutal murder of Daniel Muthiani, alias Sniper, a killing allegedly orchestrated by individuals linked to the then Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza. In the exclusive footage captured at a supermarket in Meru, the governor's suspected henchmen are seen making suspicious purchases believed to be tools of torture and murder. And as TV47's Lennox Sengere now reports, Sniper was brutally tortured, forced to swallow 100 grams of sand, and was murdered in cold blood. His body later dumped at Mutonga River, and shockingly 2 years on, it has never been laid to rest. Take a look.
Maisha yangu hapa nipo nauma. Hata roho yangu haina raha, ina uchungu.
Nikilala usiku, mimi silali. Anakuja na anaamsha ananiambia mama niko na mateso hii na hii na hii na ile. Mimi ninajua kwamba mtu akiwa hajawekwa kwa mchanga ile ni pepo. Si sawa. Mpaka anatembea anasumbua watu wa bomani, anaenda kwa mtoto, anaenda kwa nani hapa anatusumbua kila saa hatulali.
Maisha imekuwa ngumu kuishi bila yeye, especially ukijua mtu wako still ako kwa morgue, hajasikwa. Hata kuna ile time unapitia usiku unajipata una usingizi, unakaa tu kwa mawazo. Well, life imekuwa hard.
The intention was not to kill Sniper. The intention was to make sure that they torture him.
When the body came here on that 27th of December, it was in a very bad state. Kuna mwenye angekaribia this environment.
Mimi si mhusika na sijawahi kuwa mhusika na sikukuwa mhusika.
This is Maua Methodist Funeral Home, a morgue that has become a temporary resting place for Sniper, who was killed for being a critic to Meru County leadership. But 2 years later, his body still lies here. The suffocating silence within these gory walls still speaks of December 3rd, 2023, a silence that fell when Sniper went missing on the 2nd, only to reappear lifeless near Mutonga River 4 days later, battered, broken, dumped like a discarded truth. 2 years have passed. He is still not buried. His story screams from this refrigerated tomb. At Maua Methodist Funeral Home, a mortician revealed to TV47 that Sniper's remains arrived in a horrific state, bloated and rotting. To keep him whole, they had to invoke science, which entailed bathing him in a preserving chemicals, just for his body will not disappear like the justice that evades him.
When the body came here on that 27th of December, it was in a very bad state. It was decomposed. So we have to do a reconstruction. Hata ile kitu tulifanya at most tuli have ku unsuture. Then tuanze kufanya hilo vizuri sasa. Ilikuwa in a very bad state. Hakuna mwenye angekaribia this environment.
Sniper's body has stayed here so long. The morgue staff now refer him grimly as president for this morgue, for he has been the longest standing occupant at the morgue.
We call him the president of the mortuary because he has overstayed here. The day he leaves here, we will feel better, and we are appealing to anybody to expedite the removal of this Sniper and rest him to his final place.
So far, niye ndio body ame overstay so far. Akona roughly 1 year, 6 months. Yeah. ndio maana tuliamua kumpea hiyo jina, cause hapa normally mwili zinakanga 1 week 2 weeks.
Wakati atatoka hapa atatengenezwa vizuri, atapakwa mafuta, ukimwangalia unaona kweli huyu ni yule anaitwa Sniper. Hata skini yake atapakwa mpaka aonekane huyu lile ni yeye, sio mwingine.
In the hilly shadows of Kabuito, Igembe South, grief hangs heavy in Sniper's childhood home. His father, Bernard Libon, now 104 years old, sits with a heavy heart of a man who has outlived hope. His mother, Anne Kanjera, with eyes swollen from years of mourning, speaks to a pain no parent would bear.
Nimemwona tarehe 2 ya Disemba, saa 5 ya mchana, na sikumuona tena. Lakini nikilala usiku, mimi silali. Anakuja na anaamsha ananiambia mama niko na mateso hii na ile. Mimi ninajua kwamba mtu akiwa hajawekwa kwa mchanga ile ni pepo. Si sawa? Mpaka anatembea, anasumbua watu wa bomani, anaenda kwa mtoto, anaenda kwa nani, hapa anatusumbua kila saa, hatulali.
Maisha yangu hapa nipo nauma. Hata roho yangu haina raha, ina uchungu. Ningependa mwezi wa 6 kabla hujakwisha asikwe. Hawa amesikwa. Roho yangu itatulia zimame. Na niache pengine.
Maisha imekuwa ngumu kuishi bila yeye, especially ukijua mtu wako still ako kwa morgue, hajasikwa. Hata kuna ile time unapitia usiku unajipata una usingizi, unakaa tu kwa mawazo. Well, life imekuwa hard. Pia kwa mapato, especially wakati wa kuprovide, venye nilikuwa nimezoea hard from him. Na kwa tu kama maikinzi wanadipendi kwangu peke yangu, ni mimi school fee, ni mimi kula, yani ni mimi kila kitu. Na hiyo ni life sikuwa nimezoea.
Mtoto wangu hakufa bure. Aliuliwa na Kawira na dadake. Maana wakati huo, siku hiyo ya Jumamosi, huyo mtoto ametuma krivu ya nani? Ya Miriam. Hapo ndio wakamuita. Unaona? Sasa mimi najua kifo ya mtoto wangu haiko huku walipeleka kwa kina Msugu, iko hapa kwa Kawira na Miriam. Simu ya Sniper ilisimiwa wapi? Huku Nduge na huku nini? Na alikuwa anaongea na Miriam. Mbona Miriam yeye yuko nyumbani na Murangiri ndio yuko ndani? Hiyo wasi hapo ni babanuliwe na wenye kujua ndio nijue ni nani aliua mtoto wangu.
Hii kesi yake imechukua now it's almost covering 2 years na bado ako kwa morgue. Tuseme hata unasaka kama siku moja umefurahi, lakini kitu ikipitia kwa akili yako unafeel hata yani unahusunika tu because unakumbuka kuna mzigo uko mahali. It's my wish hata story ifike mwisho, tumsike tukae tu na tusahau na maisha isonge.
Sniper's widow, Irene Muthiani, struggles to recollect the shattered fabric of their family. She recalls how her husband was allegedly duped by one Vincent Kirimi, alias Supu, the prime suspect in Sniper's brutal murder, who lured Sniper into a reconciliation meeting with the then Governor Kawira Mwangaza, a meeting that became a death sentence for Sniper.
Kama watoto wangu wananiulisanga na mama nasema dadi alikufa. Kwani alikufa akaenda wapi? Unakosa utawaambia aje still ako kwa morgue na wana expect mtu akikufa obvious wanaona kaburi. Na hakuna kaburi wanaonanga, you see. It's my prayer that bwanangu apate justice. Bwanangu akipata justice hata at least we will heal. Hata watoto wangu mwali wako watajua hata wenye waliwa baba yao at least wako mahali. Na pia as the mother to the kids, nitajua the ones who killed my husband at least nimepata justice there somewhere. But for now, I know wako they are just free.
Nilishindwa ni sababu kitu gani kilichonipa hapa na ameuawa kwa nini? Na ametendwa kitendo cha kumuua, alidhulumu nini ama alikosa kosa gani ndipo afanyiwe kifo auawe.
Sasa mimi nataka niambiwa vizuri kabisa, hawa walikuwa wasama wake, mbona hawakushikwa?
TV47 has exclusively obtained a damning CCTV footage that exposes how individual linked to the then Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza allegedly plotted and executed the cold-blooded murder of Sniper. At this exclusive footage captured at Maguna's supermarket in Meru, the governor's alleged henchmen are seen making suspicious purchases believed to be murder weapons. One key suspect, Vincent Mureithi Kirimi, alias Supu, and another man now identified as a prison warden, believed to have lured Sniper to his death. On 2nd December 2023, the very day Sniper disappeared, Supu is caught on a camera buying a toy gun and a masking tape. Items investigators now believe were part of the murder weapons. 9 days later, at 11:32 p.m., he returns to the same supermarket. This time, he paces from counter to counter, appearing restless. Sources inside the supermarket tell TV47 he was allegedly trying to confirm if the CCTV cameras were working on the night he bought the items. Watch closely. He lingers at the exact spot where the cameras are mounted, even dancing briefly while being served, seemingly testing if he is being recorded.
Sasa wakati ule sisi huyo alituambia ati kwamba simu ya Sniper hata huyo nani Miriam amepika. Sijasikia Miriam akitajwa kwa hii maneno. Imesunguzwa. Kama ni hivyo wanasema ati wanawake wana haki ya kutetewa, wanaume hawana haki, mtoto wangu ana haki.
Pathologist Dr. Benjamin Kanake, who conducted the post-mortem on Sniper's body on Friday, December 22nd, 2023, assisted by Chief Government Pathologist Dr. Johansen Odur, has revealed harrowing details to TV47 that Sniper was brutally forced to swallow 100 grams of Kware sand by his killers.
We found sand. Inside is trachea. The trachea is the windpipe. Because when you take air through your nose or your mouth, immediately it passes the throat, it goes down a pipe, which is called the windpipe. The one that is you feel from the front of your neck. My position was that if someone is dead, mostly the tongue covers the back of the throat. Because when someone dies, the tissues, they stiffen. And you can't put something inside the throat of a dead person. Haitaenda bali. It normally stops as far as the cheeks, you know. And if it goes very far, it will reach just the back of the throat. But for it to go as deep as that bifurcation of the trachea, it means that there was either force, which is unlikely, because why would you force sand into a person who is dead? Or the person took the sand when he was alive. And this is one part that interested me a lot, is that this person, when he was being killed, he was probably begging for his life, or he was screaming, or he was shouting, and then probably to stop him from proceeding to shout and scream, somebody picked a mass of sand and pushed it into his mouth. But of course, in a screaming person, when the mouth opens, everything else opens. So his throat will be wide open, and therefore that sand will go in. We estimated about between 50 and 100 grams.
But the horror didn't end there. The very morgue where Sniper's battered body was taken at the Marimati Level 4 hospital allegedly destroyed critical evidence by burning his clothes.
It was decomposed, terribly decomposed, because this body was discovered in a riverbed several days after his death. And that put a big question mark as to whether it was intentional, Because that body, without specific marks, that body was never going to be identified. And because he had worn a specific color shirt and trousers, it could have been easier to identify the body had he been let to stay with his clothes in the mortuary. So they are trying to burn the clothes. I don't know whether it was intentional, and of course, somehow they didn't burn it completely, because I think they lit the fire and went to do other businesses as the fire was led to continue smoldering and burning the clothes. But I don't know. The fire went off before the shirt was completely burnt. And that shirt, when now we went to identify the body, the mortician, the guys who take care of the bodies there, they were able to help us now to identify using that shirt. The other thing that intrigued us, and we found it very weird, and I am talking again about the hospital staff, the hospital mortuary staff, is that they had attempted to embalm the body. And of course, in forensic medicine, we don't advise embalmment of bodies that have not that have questionable cause of death.
What does that mean?
Embalming is chemical preservation. And even when Dr. Onduor questioned them whether they were aware that this body was going to have a postmortem, they said yes. Are you aware also that bodies that are scheduled for postmortem, they are not supposed to be interfered with in any way? They said yes. Then the question is why? And that caught us by surprise, and we were like, could there be some things that we could, for example, if this guy had been poisoned, or maybe he had been injected with some lethal substances, after embalming, those lethal substances, you can't find them, because they are supposed to be found in the same fluid that was poured out in order that the space that was occupying could be taken back by the formaldehyde. He was strangled with a ligature. A ligature is a string, a rope, a wire, anything that can make the breathing system stop. And also we found that there is a bone that they normally break very easily when they are strangling. The mandras, when they are strangling, there's a bone that they usually fracture, because it's a very light bone. It's a very easy bone to break. The one that is just above the thyroid gland, which is above the underarm sepal, it's called the hyoid bone. So the hyoid bone had been broken. And the breakage of hyoid bone is normally evidence that the strangling was forceful. The other thing we found in him is that he had been battered thoroughly on the head. There was a lot of battering, either with the slaps. By the way, let me tell you, even if you slap a person and that person dies, postmortem will show that you slapped him. So we found that he had been hit hard, either slaps, fists, or objects, blunt objects on the head. But he never had a cut. There is no part of his body that had been cut. All that was done on the head was blunt injuries. Because when we opened the scalp, we found there was a lot of bleeding underneath the skin.
According to the autopsy, Sniper died a death worse than pain. His body told a tale of torture, fractured ribs, strangulation, repeated assault. He was mobbed by at least 4 killers.
Some of his ribs had been fractured because I think someone was kicking him, maybe stamping on him. If he was lying down, he was being stamped on with a shoe. And if he was maybe seated or standing, whichever way, maybe he was being kicked very hard with a very hard shoe. In fact, we were able to make the impression of a shoe on his chest, because we were able to measure the impact of that we found on the chest and estimated both the length and the width, and it fitted a shoe. So in my estimation, there was a strangulator, there was a restrainer, there were 2 guys who were battering the head, and either of the 4 descended on his chest also and put sand. So the minimum number of people who could have killed this guy were 4. But it could have been more, because even observers could have been there. When you ask him why he was doing this, do you know what he used to say? I don't know. Do you get what I mean? He used to tell me, I don't know. I just find myself doing it. Then I asked him, do you know that you are offending people and putting your life in danger? He said, but it's not me doing it. It's a power inside me that is doing it.
His killers didn't feed him a single meal as he suffered through a full day of captivity. His stomach was entirely empty.
When we did the postmortem, we opened his stomach and it was virtually empty. Not even a drop of, not even a grain of wheat to suggest that he had eaten mandazi. Not even a small grain of rice. His stomach was as empty as washed. He had nothing. In fact, we didn't even have any specimen to take for toxicology because he didn't have anything in the stomach. Otherwise, we would have taken the food substance that was there, packed it and sent it for chemical testing for any poison and all that. And in my inference, this guy was very weak at the time they were battering him. Very weak.
In the widening dragnet, Meru former Governor Kawira Mwangaza's brother, Murangiri Kenneth Gwantai, also known as Tali, was among 5 suspects arrested in the connection with the murder of the Meru-based blogger. Gwantai, who served as a police officer and was part of Governor Mwangaza's security detail, was arrested alongside Vincent Muraidhi Kirimi, alias Supu, the man who allegedly lured Sniper to his death.
And the stories are he was killed the same time before midnight. In fact, the intention was not to kill Sniper. The intention was to make sure that they torture him. But they tortured him to the extent that they could not release him, because if they could release him, he could share this story. So the ones involved saw it would be better to deal with him completely, such a way that he could not share this story to anyone. The body was disposed at River Mtonga in Tharaka Nithi County. The body was in a sack. Then they dropped the body into the river. I don't know what happened. The sack got out. Sniper was killed as a result of criticizing the former governor, Kawira Mwangaza. She should be brought to book and explain all these things under custody. Because the end justifies the means, not the means to justify the end.
Kawira ndio alikuwa na uhasama na Sniper. Na Miriam, watu wawili ndio walikuwa na uhasama. Hawa akina Subu na Murangiri walitoka wapi? Wamejuaje? Sasa hiyo ndio nasema huyu Kawira na huyu Miriam ndio wamejua vile mtoto wangu amekufa.
Sijaona mtu tangu kuzaliwa aliyefariki bila kuwa mgonjwa. Ati tu hivi mfariki. Kisema sikijui.
You will live to blame, nikijua ni yeye alifanya nikawa widow. Sababu gani? Kama si yeye, at least ningekuwa na my full family. Ya na uwezi niambia ajui ni nini kiliendelea, anajua vizuri. Kama sababu kama hakuwa anajua na anajua ni kifo na mtu akifa huwa arudi tena, angefuatilia ajue ni nini iliendelea mpaka jina lake linachafuliwa bure.
The motive behind Sniper's brutal murder has taken a chilling turn. Investigators now believe it's tied to his scathing satirical prayers delivered in the Meru dialect and laced with insults allegedly aimed at then Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza. What began as a mockery may have ignited a deadly consequences.
He was really very vulgar. He used to use vulgarities and insulting people in the name of praying to God to punish them. We agreed that on the 2nd of December, which was the next Saturday, he would come here. And what purpose? That I pray for him and guide him on how to be praying properly, and so that he can also resume his Christian life, so that he can start going to church and stop. Of course, I had also advised him about the kind of prayers he was leading. I was telling him that some of these prayers will put you in trouble. Some of these people, if they get offended, they can go for you. So I thought this is a missed opportunity. And I asked myself, somebody was just almost in my hands to rescue him, and someone has just killed him.
The Detectives have told TV47 that Sniper was allegedly lured under the pretense of a meeting with Governor Kawira Mwangaza to reconcile political differences. Instead, he was abducted and later killed. Governor Mwangaza and her husband Murega Baichi denied any involvement in the murder, labeling the allegations as politically motivated.
Na huyo mwenye aliongea na Sniper to the last minute, tuna habari ya kwamba alitumiwa pesa na Deputy Governor wa Meru. Hiyo pesa alitumiwa na M-Pesa ilikuwa ya nini? Mbona DCI hawajatuambia ya kwamba kuna mtu aliongea na Sniper more than 15 times that same day, na aliongea na yeye until the last minute, na alitumiwa pesa na Deputy Governor? Tunataka kujua.
Hakuna mahali tulikuwa tunahusiana. If anything, mimi si mhusika na sijawahi kuwa mhusika na sikukuwa mhusika na singefikiria kuwa mhusika. Kwa hivyo sasa hiyo ilikuwa siasa ambaye wamejitengenezea after kuangalia ya kwamba wanipati kwa wizi, wanipati kwa corruption, wanipati kwa njia nyingine zote. They crafted their own thing ya kufix governor ni mama.
Ningependa kumweleza pia wazazi wetu mahali walipo. My mother, my two mothers, mama ya Kawira Mwangaza, mama yangu mzazi, familia yangu, mashabiki wangu, wafuasi wetu ambao wako na imani na sisi, ambao wamekuwa wakitufuata. We can't let you down by doing such an act. Na Mungu aliye juu mbinguni anajua. Hatujawahi kufikiria mimi na bibi yangu kumtendea yote, amekuwa akitutusi.
Back in Kabuito, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki fulfilled his promise by constructing a new home for Sniper's widow and children. Once the walls are complete, Sniper, now 2 years frozen in time, will finally be allowed to rest.
Hiyo story kiendelee, we promised to offer the family of the late, especially the Kings, a decent home, and he is doing it. So ndio unaona hii nyumba iko hapa. And I think tutampumzisha hapa tu. I play with our government, especially at the interior CS. You know, kuna uwezo wa kufanya kila kitu. And especially to the detectives wa homicide. I know wanajua wanaelewa history vizuri. Na waomba tu they give us what we deserve. Najua banangu hawezi fufuka here. Lakini tukipata justice, at least we will heal and move on.
Haki itendeke. Na sheria ishukue mkondo yake, hakuna kingine.
But justice seems and remains as cold as the slab beneath. The government, through the Ministry of Interior, has, however, promised to ensure justice is served.
Itabidi nikirudi niweze nikajulisha DCI atuambie ni siku ngapi atahitaji zaidi kuhakikisha kwamba wale ambao walihusika wamepelekwa kotini, na pia kuhakikisha kwamba justice imepatikana. So itakuwa ni jukumu langu, itakuwa ni mtihani kwangu kupeleka habari hiyo kwa DCI na wajibike. Na kama imeshindikana kukutanisha evidence na wenye walifanya, aambie wananchi, ndio wananchi wasikue wanategea habari ambayo pengine haipo.
Lennox Sengre, TV47 Crime Untold.